Hi folks, welcome to Blackbeard's Detailing YouTube channel. I'm Ross, it's Sunday so Josh isn't in, and on this vlog we have this Lotus Emira. So it's covered just under 1,000 miles. It's in with us for our new car ceramic package using Gtechniq Crystal Serum Ultra, and it's also getting PPF put on the front bumper and headlights. So yep, hopefully you join us for the journey of this one. We normally aren't open the weekends. I was in for to do a set of calipers for a customer, and the job basically ran over. So this chap wanted to drop his car off a few days early the weekend, which is fine. So I'm getting a head start on it. I'm going to get the decon done today. I'll get it in on the ramp, and that's us good and ahead of the game for Monday. So as usual, we'll kick off with decontamination work to be done on this. Even though it's still relatively new, it's still going to need a proper decontamination done. Fallout removed, tar removed, make sure everything is in pristine condition, ready to polish and for the PPF to get put on. So I'm going to talk through the whole kind of decon procedure. This is going to be a slightly different vlog. I know I usually kind of condense the decon stuff down, a lot of the polishing stuff down, but I'm going to do a long form vlog, this one, for a wee change. See how that goes and see how you folks like it. But yeah, wee bit of noise. I'm not going to have any music on in the background of this. I'm going to have a wee blether as I go through, explain what I'm doing, explain the process and why we do it that way. And yeah, hopefully you find this a wee bit interesting. So first off, we are going to give the car a proper rinse down. This will get rid of any of the loose dust that's sitting on the car. What it also does is gives me a wee indication or idea if there's any protective substances on the car. So this is speeding up pretty well. So you might find it's got some form of protection on there. The customer doesn't think it's been ceramic coated before. But knowing the customer, knowing how much he loves this, the chances are it's got some form of sealant or wax on it. So first thing we do is take the citrus pre-clean. So it's diluted down, pressurise the sprayer and just get it on everything, and it will start to break down any bits of dirt, grime, anything that's sitting on the car. And then these AK sprayers certainly help the sore hands for the constant pumping. So this is safe to using pretty much everything. So all the bodywork, tyres, alloys. And then what we're going to do after that is give it a good blast over with the snow foam. And what that'll do is it'll just keep that product working for longer. The longer it's on that car, the better, the more work it's doing. The exception of that would be if it's a really hot day, which thankfully it's not. The sun's not out either, it's overcast. This is the perfect day to be washing a car. It's not cold at all, and the sun is tucked well behind the clouds, so there's no direct sunlight at all. So the products can sit on there for a good while and just basically help me do my job a lot easier. So after that, I'll grab snow foam. And there's numerous schools of thought on the right way of snow foaming, believe it or not. Whether you go from the bottom, top, it really doesn't matter at all in any way. Just get that product on the car. under all the arches as well. Start to break down anything that's sitting on there. So after that, we'll stick away the products that we've already used. Depressurise our AK sprayer so the seals aren't under any pressure. And then we're going to grab a detailing brush. That's a nice soft one. We'll put it in our wash solution, give it a wee shoodle about. Just softens the bristles right up, beautiful, soft. And then grab a wee bottle of APC, which is here, and then start basically going round all the seals on the car, spending a good bit of attention on that front end. It's getting PPF put on it, so we might want to make Chris's job so much easier and make sure all those edges are spotlessly clean, so nothing gets trapped underneath that PPF. When it's getting the film put on it, there's a lot of water gets flushed through, and if there's anything sitting in there, we don't want it loosening and coming down and ending up under that film. So in all the wee badges and the wee kind of tight sections of the vents into the side here. And the lights and the Lotus badge, basically anything that would be quite difficult to pick up with the wash mitt, we want to make sure we're getting those edges with the detailing brush. We're almost putting no pressure on this, we're just letting the brush glide along the surface and lift up anything that's on it. Now, as I was saying about the weather, the snow foam's just sitting on that nice long dwell time, which is exactly what we're wanting. If the sun was out at this point and shining on the car, we'd be looking at starting to rinse this off, because we don't want any of the products drying on the car. Again, this process is much easier when the car is nice and new. The odd occasion if we get something in that's a wee bit older, not treated as well as it should have been, or if it's a customer that's picked up a new car, maybe the previous owner hasn't been looking after it that well, we might need to do this process a couple of times just to make sure everything is out, all the wee grooves, before we start the polishing work. And getting into all the wee grooves in here, because believe it or not, we can't actually open this. If we were looking to take this off, we'd need to unbolt it, which we don't really want to do. Might need to do it, but that will be a kind of last resort. I don't want to start having to unbolt things on a nice new Lotus. And then into all the wee corners. Make sure there's nothing snuck in there hiding. I quite like to, when I'm using the brush, wrap my fingers around the end, so if I'm going over actual brush, even though it's not kind of rock hard plastic or anything, just want to make sure that it's my fingers that will be hitting the edges of things and not the actual brush. And any kind of delicate surfaces and that you certainly don't want to damage. Other note as well, I get music on in the background. I really hope YouTube's not picking it up, because yeah, you end up getting nasty copyright stuff through. Even though it's not the main kind of feature of the film, it's just playing in the background. But yeah, sometimes they're yeah, they can be quite harsh. And then 3D plates, which can be a nightmare. Just dirt traps. So let me make sure we're getting in all those bits. And then lastly, just this wee section. There we go, that's that all done. So with the brush into the rinse bucket, a good swirl about, then a wee shake, a shake and a squeeze. Those products away, and then we're grabbing the pressure washer, and then we're going to give this full car a rinse down, focusing on the arches, making sure all the stuff is blasted out into the dirt, that snow foam and EPC has been softening up for the past five or so minutes. So there we go. It's all rinsed down. So next up, we're going to move on to the contact wash. So this is just a Gtechniq G-wash, and then some water in it, and then just a clean rinse bucket. Again, just fresh, clean water. And then we're going to work our way around the car, starting at the top, making our way down panel by panel. And then a wee blast with the pressure washer lance just to get that nice and foamed up. Always be mindful, if it's a car you're not used to, if you pull these up, this one's fine because it clears it, but a lot of them are tucked underneath the bonnet, especially in Tesla Model S's. If you yank that up, it will hit the bonnet and it will crack the bonnet. It puts a almost knife razor edge, so just be mindful. If it's not a car you're just working on, don't just grab the window wipers and pull them up. Make sure there's the clearance there first. If you really need to get them up, then have a quick Google check, because there should be a window wiper service mode for the car. You can just click it again with Teslas. If you go into the middle, the big middle massive screen, and then have a wee look through, I think it's in under maintenance, you can pop those window wipers up. So you can see, starting at the top of the car, the sections which are generally the least dirty, that's where we want to start. Again, if you can hear that music in the background, apologies, it's on a random YouTube mix. YouTube music mix, and it's everything from rap to whatever on earth this is. So with the weather again being overcast, we could generally get away with doing the bonnet at this point. However, I do like to just rinse off as I'm going round, so I'll just rinse off that full top end. Again, just so nothing's going to dry and sit on the car. It doesn't need to be a thorough rinse off at this point, it can just be a wee going over to keep that panel wet and get the worst of the soap off. So we want to go on to the next kind of highest panel, so I'm going to be going to the bonnet now. And using the wash mitt right into that recess, including the underside of it. That's a nice fresh clean new wash mitt. It feels nice and fluffy. And there we go. So after every panel, it goes into the rinse. A good couple of swirls about. and then give it a squeeze out outside the bucket. Don't squeeze it into the bucket because then you're just transferring into the dirty water back into the rinse, which you don't want. And then a good dollop right into your shampoo, and the wing done. So if you're doing sections at the bottom, then remember which side you use to the bottom. Flip it over and use that for any of the kind of higher up sections, just in case these bits are properly dirty. Again, it's not a huge issue with this car. It's relatively new, well, pretty much brand new, and the pre-wash is removed about 90% of the grime that's on it. All that should really be left on the car now, other than embedded contaminants like iron fallout and tar, it should just be road grime that's on it. There shouldn't be any actual proper dirt. So again, if I'm using that side to go the bottom half, just switch round and use that top side to do the higher up section. Again, just in case it's picked up any nastiness. And then you can use that same bit to go round there, and then down and over. So full front end washed, so we rinse off. So I'm going to go on to the passenger side now. And what I like to do is go from the top and run all the way along the top section, especially with cars like this. And as that shampoo is running down, it's also doing its job on those lower sections as it starts to run down. If there's still any dirt on there, it's starting to soften it. And then big long motions, gripping it into the sill. If it's the height of winter, your car's covered in grime, covered in road grit, things like that, I'd always use a separate wash mitt for lower and upper sections, especially if a car's in for a safe wash and it's all been coated and is looking great. But see when it's the height of summer, it's there. See, as long as you're flipping over to that clean side of your wash mitt, you can carry on. So as I know a lot of people go down, they'll wash a section and then they'll go up the way. Generally, you only want to be going over the panel once. You should be catching everything if your method's correct. They're nice big left to right and then big sweeping. You shouldn't need to then start making your way up and transferring any dirt that's down below up towards the top of the panel. But during the summer months, especially in a car like that, which is far from grubby, how it's sitting is perfect. Sorry, how you're kind of washing that is perfect, there's no issue. So there's a big massive, feels like brake cooling duct in there. This just seems to go all the way through. A wee hidden nook and cranny in it. And again, give this side a wee rinse. Do driver's side, then onto the back. See trouble with me, can't do nothing with my baby. Plain as can be. Aye, that's our contact wash all done. So we rinse off, and then after that we're going to detar it. Again, there's hardly anything on it, but we just want that to the bodywork to be as close to pristine as possible before we actually start to polish it. So we can already see with just the pre-washing and then the contact wash, that kind of water behaviour we had when we started washing it is starting to kind of fade. So I'd imagine it's some kind of spray sealant. Customer reckons they've put some kind of dealership coating on it. There's still remnants of it around the wing mirrors. That kind of telltale white dealer sealant that lasts about 3 washes and then starts to die. And they charge you about 500, 600 quid for the privilege of it. But hey, it comes with a lifetime warranty. So it should be fun and games taking it to them every couple of months, getting them to redo it. Okay, next up we are going to grab a clean microfiber. So we have said clean microfiber, and this is the tar glue remover. It's going rather stiff. So we're going to cover the car in this. We want to make sure we're staying away from any of plastics. So when it gets to the bonnet sections around there, it'll be sprayed onto the cloth and then transferred onto the car that way. As with some cars, the plastics and the headlights really don't like the tar removers. The hydrocarbon, so it likes to bite into them. So when we're well away from them, we can spray directly on and then give it a wipe off. If you get any runoff onto them, that's fine. You just don't want it to spray it directly on. And again, going around the full front end. Now this should also help to remove any, should we put it, not so great protective sealants, because they tend to not withstand the tar removers. So a wee rinse of this. Again, as I said earlier, if it was a warm day and the sun was beating down, we'd be looking to rinse that off pretty much right away. However, it's the perfect car washing day today. A couple of wee tar dots that just literally just lift off. And then in the lower sections, make sure the cloth doesn't touch the ground. It does, just bin it and grab a new one. And any wee badges we've got, like this, the Emira first edition badge, it's an unknown surface on that, so we don't want to be covering it in that, because the last thing you want is for it to react. So half the car done, that's more than enough time for it to be sat on it, so we're wanting to give that a wee rinse, and we'll use a pressure washer for that because we're wanting to knock it down. It's water soluble, so it will just run off. When you hit it with the pressure washer, it will look amazingly beady at first, but it's just the way the water bounces off the of the product that's on the paint. So make sure any of the overspray is well off your rubber window wipers. So we'll move on to the back end now. Then usually give your hands a wee dip into your rinse bucket. So when you put your pressure washer down, the wee bits of grit that are on the ground will be sticking to it. And if they're on your hands, and then you go and just grab your microfiber you're using for your tarn glue or anything, those wee bits of stones, dirt, then just get transferred straight on that microfiber. If you flip that and wipe it along, that's you giving yourself a lovely wash inflicted mark. So we want to make sure that we're limiting that as much as possible, and by doing that we just be extra careful, make sure your hands are clean, because it's nothing difficult, it's nothing fancy, just dip your hands in the water, and it just helps to make sure you're not actually going to be putting anything that can cause any damage on the car onto it. Because the goal is to make the car look as best as possible, not to put more bits in it. A couple of wee tar spots on this door, just running off nice and easy. And then again spraying it onto the microfiber, not onto the bodywork at these sections, because we've got the backlights here. Really is a beautiful colour, this. Really, really nice. And there we go, that's that side done. So we'll give that a rinse with the pressure washer. And lastly, you have iron fallout remover. So when your bodywork's nice and cold, your brakes are nice and hot, and you're having some fun in your beautiful new Lotus Emira, and you stomp on those brakes, brake dust comes off, red hot, hits the paintwork, it's nice and cold, and just goes, it just bonds itself to it. It then sits there, and as it oxidises, it starts to show its wee rust marks all the way along. Sometimes it can be quite difficult to see, but if you've got a white car, have a wee look at your lower sections just behind your wheels, and you should see these wee marks. And this is how we get rid of it. There's a common misconception that people think it dissolves the iron filings. It doesn't, it just breaks that chemical bond that's actually stuck to the paintwork. So as it's on, sticks, it's just a tiny wee contact surface that's actually holding it onto the paintwork, and it's that oxidation that's doing it. So with this, you spray it on and it starts to turn purple. Again, that's just a surfactant that's been put in there to react, so you can see if there's any contamination on there. It doesn't have to go purple, it just does, and it also looks pretty cool, especially if you've got a car that's covered in it. And then yeah, with this, again, as I said before, perfect weather. It can dry out pretty quickly, and again, we don't want anything drying out on the paintwork. Should add tar cloth straight in the bin with that one. We don't wash that or anything. So we want to leave that on there for as long as we can. If it's sunny, then you'll start to see it going cloudy and white. At that point, it's been on there for too long. Get that off pronto, especially if you've got any kind of plastic seals. If you've got like a BMW X1, for example, and it's got those plastic ridges round and a Mini, if you're spraying that on that, you really need to make sure that you're not allowing that to dry on that plastic, because it will start to mark it. So we'll just want to have a wee look round, see how it's doing, and it's actually fairly negligible. A couple of tiny wee purple runs, but yeah, it's not too bad. It's a couple just about the kind of telltale signs where the brakes are when they hit. That brake dust comes out and just goes onto the paintwork. Back sections as well. Again, we've got plenty round about there. So we're just keeping an eye on it, making sure it's actually doing its job. Loads along this back end that's starting to drop down. In fact, I shall grab the camera and show you, and then I'll pop these back again. Geez, I've just noticed there that's like 44 minutes long, so if you're half asleep, I apologise. So, see these wee purple runs, just there, again the camera might, there's a couple just next to the L, so these are all bits of brake dust, bits of metal essentially. There's a big one there, and there's loads of them all the way along. So that's what this is essentially helping to remove. So we'll let that sit for another minute. The longer it's on, the better. Again, constantly watching the car, make sure nothing's drying on it. And then afterwards, we're giving it a good rinse. So that's doing its job, and now it's time to rinse. So that's the pressure washer off now, so I'll just click the water off on it so it would empty the ballast tank, and then pop this big long pressure hose away. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go around it with just the naked hose. Just let that water flow down to make sure that all the wash chemicals, everything, are out of all the door jambs, seals, vents, anything that could be sitting pulling in. Those bits of bodywork exactly the same as the outside, so we don't want them sitting in there, we don't want them drying, anything like that. So we're just going to sit for a couple of minutes and let that water flood over the car. So just starting from the roof, and then and all the seals. In the meantime, all that water's flooding down the car into everything, the rain channels down there. It's just making sure there's plenty of water to flush away any of the chemicals that might still be sitting in there. Just as I says, those are bits of the bodywork, same as the rest of the car. We don't want our stuff sitting in there and drying on it. You can see now that water, it's just stagnating on that surface. It is still shooting away, but that could just be a nice, beautiful, clean panel. And that's basically what we're wanting. We want that. We know that if there is any protection on there, that's it basically starting to completely tail off. And once we polish that, the mechanical abrasion will remove any traces of any sealants, even kind of lesser quality ceramic coatings. That decon wash will completely destroy. So that's us a good flush over. That hose turned off, and yeah, next up we will get it, well, we say we, it's just me today. I'll get it inside, get it dried, and then I shall probably see you tomorrow morning. So yeah, we'll whip it inside. Okay, it's the following morning, and it's in the ramp, lifted, and get the wheels off. Josh is just about to start deep cleaning all them. might notice as well we've got a couple of axle stands over the back. It's because the weight distribution on it is 61% rear and 31% front. So it's very rear heavy. So when we're working on it, the last thing we want is for it to become unbalanced and you see one of these horrible YouTube videos of a car coming off a ramp. So we've got a couple of axle stands there just to support the rear weight on that, because the engine is basically sitting just there and it's directly above that rear axle. So if it's hanging beyond that, it can act as a hinge point and you're working on it. And if it teeter-totters, then I've got some explaining to do why I've dropped a customer's car off a ramp. So the paint condition is pretty good. There is some marring that you can see along these sections. Plenty wee bits along there, just where people will be grabbing it to actually shut the door, which you can see there. All these are all on the inside of the glass, all these marks, but the inside is getting done. A couple of nasty marks on the mirror. And yeah, the rest of it is just general swirliness. Again, all the gloss black sections. The bonnet looks as if it's a couple of harsh passovers. With a polisher you can see the lines there where somebody's polished it left to right and they've left a good bit of buffer trails on. And again, we've got marring all along. You can see it running up along there, so you can see it's not anything that's on the paint. It is kind of, somebody's been a bit heavy-handed when washing. And spotted as well, there's a wee nick somewhere on the door. It could be the driver's or the passenger side door. And again, driver's side there. It's pretty swirled up. Plenty of marring where it's been grabbed. And yeah, the roof, pretty much the same as the blue trim. Trying to even pick up this wee mark we've got. And then we've got some polishing marks, sanding marks from factory, just on there. Ah, there we go, that's a wee mark on the door. So we've got a wee, just try and catch that on focus. So just a wee mark. So we shall see what we can do to get that wee mark out as well. But yeah, it's a fun and games. So as I says, we have the wheels all off it. They're now, Josh is just doing the deep clean on them, and then we'll get them coated, get the calipers coated and get them back on the car. Chris should be here at some point today, and then he's going to start on the PPF on the front end. In the meantime, we're just going to crack on with the correction work. So yeah, we've got a few long days of polishing ahead. Certainly the last kind of couple of Lotuses I've worked on, the paint's been rock hard on them. So we'll see how this one fares. It's the first Emira I've had in, so we'll see how this one is. But I anticipate it's probably going to be the same as previous Lotus. And yeah, we shall see you for the polishing process. Well folks, that's us now in day number 2. I came in a wee bit earlier. I'm going to get the front end section just next to the bumper polished up, just so when Chris is in, we're not crossing over or tripping over each other with me trying to correct this bonnet section whilst he's PPFing the front bumper. Yesterday, power of work done, wheels all coated, calipers clean coated. This full passenger side is polished, the passenger side of the roof and the top of the boot lip. Josh, after he'd done all the wheels, calipers, he'd valeted the interior, and he's got half of the back bumper polished. So today is basically the next half of the car. So front end along the driver's side, and then we'll get the car all panel white and get it ready for coating, which will go on tomorrow. So get another full day of polishing today. As anticipated, the paint is rock hard on it, like proper hard paint, like old Merc, old Audi kind of levels of hardness. So it's taking a bit of punishment to get through it, but it's getting through, no bother. All that kind of haziness is all disappearing, nice to beautiful gloss finish. The black sections are soft, however, so they were then causing another issue with it being marring really easily when taking the polish off. So changed the polishing pad combos for that a couple of times to get that spot on. So I've got that right, and that's now all nice and gloss black and looking how it should. So yeah, game plan for today is that Chris and Josh will be in the next hour, and I'm just going to crack on and get the bonnet sorted. Well folks, that is us all done with this absolutely beautiful Lotus Emira. Two-stage machine correction and then coated with Gtechniq Crystal Serum Ultra, boasting that lovely 9-year guarantee. We also PPF'd the front headlights, the front bumper, and the wing mirrors, just to protect them from stone chips. Included in that package, wheels come off, the wheels get deep cleaned, inside barrel ceramic coated, front face ceramic coated, and the calipers, which are nice bright yellow. And we also done the interior. So received a valet and smart fabric on the seats and the mats, just to keep them nice and fresh and protected. And a wee cheeky window sealant as well, to make sure the customer can see nice in what will inevitably be a rainy Scottish summer, as it always is. So thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed the vlog. If you have, please drop us a wee like, leave us a wee comment, and consider subscribing to the channel. Thank you very much. Cheery bye.